So Elon Musk owns Twitter. Isn't he related to the villain from Lethal Weapon 2? That's right, it's fucking story time! More tales from the tire store. So for those of you who don't know, I used to work at Goodyear. So there we were, watching Criminal Minds on TV. Wasn't shit going on that day. And back then we were rolling a $15.95 oil change special. Still kind of fucked up the employee oil change was $16.95. But that's a story for one of my other video series. Dude walks in with a Toyota Camry. Says he wants the special. So we wrote him up and got him in line. Like we were fucking doing anything else. One of my techs pulls it in and starts inspecting the car. Then he pops up from the passenger side and comes and gets me. I said, what do you need? He said, as the service manager, I feel you should see this. So I walked out to the car. Now, during the process of the inspection, we have to check the air filter and cabin air filter. It was mandated on every car. So I look inside where the cabin air filter normally sits, and what do I see? Big old bag of Chiba. I was like, put the air filter back. So he puts it back, starts changing the oil. We get everything back together and call the customer to come pick his car up. He comes, we run the ticket, and he leaves. About 30 minutes later, he rolls back up into my parking lot, pissed. He throws the door open and walks into the showroom and says, who took it? I said, what do you mean, sir? He said, somebody stole my weed. I said, sir, I assure you nobody fucking stole your shit. He said it was there when I brought it in and now it's not. How do you explain that? Any chance you smoked it and forgot about it? Well, this conversation keeps going and gets a little more heated. He just won't let it go. Then he pulls out his phone. I'm sitting there wondering who he's about to call. Maybe the Ghostbusters. Probably would have been better if he called them because he called JSO. For those of you outside of Jacksonville, that is the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. If it's still taking a minute, he called the cops for missing weed. Of course, he didn't tell them that on the phone. He just said that somebody took something from him and he'd like to file a report. So they sent a cruiser out. Cop walked in and said, what seems to be the problem? He said, I'd like to file a formal report. They have taken my weed. Cop took a deep breath and said, son, are you telling me that you called me out here to report your marijuana missing? Cop looked at me and says, is he serious? I'm sitting there giggling. I'm like, I assume so. He said, how much weed were we talking about, sir? He said, big old bag full. Cop looked at me and said, there's no way he's this dense. I was like, dude, you're preaching to the choir. I deal with these people every day. He looked back at him and said, sir, you realize that's illegal, right? See, this is before it was decriminalized in Florida. Dude still wasn't getting it. Cop said, why don't we just go down to the station and talk about it? He got in his car and followed him to the substation. I assume that fucker went to jail. Asked the technician if he took it. He said, dude, you watch me put it back. But I got a million more of these, so I can follow for more story time.